mean, it just shows that, if the England RFU are struggling, then we've all got no hope.
No, that's right.
We've got absolutely no hope. But that is the end of breaking news.
Excellent.
In fact, some of these aren't even breaking, mate, because I did them for last week, and you weren't here.
Well, you weren't here either.
I was here.
I
still did the podcast. But anyway, mate, we've got our listeners' question. Do you want to read?
Well, no, I can't read it because it's so far away.
All right, well, I'll read it out. It's from Tommy Davis from LA, US of A.
LA? Is that
Los Angeles?
Los Angeles.
Hello, gentlemen. I like Harry's trying to be English there, gentlemen. Just wanted to write a quick email to say thanks for putting on such a great podcast.
Thank you.
I did add the such part there. I am new to rugby and live in the USA, so am learning a lot from you both. Now, can I just correct you? Are you really learning anything from Toby?
Whoa. I'm walking out of here now.
No, you're not. My question is, does Super Rugby have a salary cap system? If so, does it work? Does it work over the 3 countries? Now, I think this is really interesting because he's from America, and salary cap systems are the norm. So NFL, the National Hockey League. I'm not sure whether basketball have a salary cap system.
They probably
do. But, big sports over there do have it. So I wanted to go into a little bit of detail. Now, before we get started, what's the current system in place? So Australia have a salary cap system, self-imposed.
Right.
South Africa are going to move to a salary cap system.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Good.
And New Zealand have the most complicated system ever. And basically, if your team's got a whole bunch of All Blacks in it, you've got more money to spend than anyone else.
Yeah.
So it's to your thing. If you blood through All Blacks, you don't get penalised. So he goes from some pros and cons to having. Now, what we're talking about is a salary cap system across the whole competition.
Yes.
So that
So you're saying each team gets, let's say, $10 million?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Every team in the whole competition. So
Yes.
South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia all get the same amount. Okay? So some pros and cons to a salary cap. Mandatory upper and lower salary cap limits. And what that means is you have to spend a certain amount of money.
Okay.
But you can't spend
too much.
So you got 10 million, that's your highest, and you can't spend less than 6 million, let's just say.
Okay.
And what that means is it means that teams can't try and save money. Yeah, by having a rubbish team for 3 years.
Yeah, but then you've still got 4 million left over. Do you then carry that on to the next season?
No.
So next season you've got 14 million.
No.
Okay.
Basically, the reason why a lot of people,
so you may as well use the whole 10 million.
Correct. And
Okay.
I think every system even is still going to do that.
Right.
We don't have a, like in the baseball.
Yeah.
What they have done in the past is because they still get big crowds, they just put out a rubbish team.
Yeah.
Make a whole load of money.
Okay. And then the next season or a couple of seasons down the road,
they might then
spend up
invest
large.
Yeah. So you end up having teams that are rubbish and getting absolutely banjoed by everyone else. And that wouldn't happen under a salary cap system.
Banjoed. Like that one.
Con, mate. Few player-to-player trades. What that means is, and this is why people might keep a little bit of money back, let's say someone comes on the market, you just can't go and say, I want him, because you might not be able to afford him, because you've planned all your salaries out really carefully. So therefore, if a big player comes out, you can't afford to buy them. And that's a bad thing, because obviously that sometimes means that really good players don't play rugby because no one can afford to have them.
No, that's true. They could get the whole 10 million.
Well, this is coming in because normally salary caps do something a little bit different. So, pro is cap limits tied to league revenue. So, obviously, you are only going to have X amount of money depending on how well the competition does. That could be a negative because if
a crowd-wise at the moment, they'll get bloody a couple of $100.
It'll be like, your salary cap limit is a $5.
Hey, bro, can you, just for my salary this week, can I have some KFC, please?
Oh, man, some of the boys would like that.
Yeah.
Con, it punishes successful teams. And what that means is, let's say you got a Crusaders.
Yeah.
It's got a whole bunch of All Blacks in it. They all command
X amount.
So you can't have them all.
No.
You've then got to.
But then is that good though?
Well, that's another thing.
Because then you're spreading the love.
Wealth around of the players. This is why Australia were desperate to move from 5 teams to 4 teams because they were having to share their players over 5 teams.
Spread it right out.
And now they've only got to share them over 4, which is still difficult. Pro, limits on players' contracts. Now, in football in England, players are paid ridiculous amounts of money.
Yes.
And then they get jealous with each other. And they'll go, oh, he's getting £355,000 a week. I think I'm worth more than that. So then the next guy gets paid a little bit more.
Yeah, and then the next so guy, on and so forth.
And that stops that from happening. So you stay within it. The cap sometimes circumvents the skill, which means that because...
Circumvent. God, I don't even know what that means.
It means it doesn't match. So because you've got a budget and you want to spend it on one player, it means that the same sort of quality of player can't be paid as much because you don't have as much money.
Right.
So it means that sometimes players aren't getting paid what they're worth.
Right.
Okay. Pro, it encourages better management. So, you only have a certain amount of money that you can afford to spend.
Yeah.
Rather than the con, and this is the biggest con, and this is what would make it very, very difficult, is it's over 3 currencies. So what do you pay the South Africans in? You don't pay them New Zealand dollars.
No. Or
Australian dollars. You pay them in the rand.
Yeah, but let's say...
And the rand's worth like nothing.
Yeah, but let's say you've got 10 million New Zealand dollars, then you just convert it. So it might be 9 million and something you're Australian dollars, or...
You're absolutely right.
10 billion
you're
rand.
Absolutely right.
Or however much the rand is.
You then got to look at cost of living. Cost of living are different in different countries. So paying someone to play in Dunedin, man, you could buy
to Auckland, true.
To Auckland or to Sydney or to Pretoria. There's a big, big difference.
True.
So therefore, people will then start potentially moving to places where the cost of living is more, or the value of the rand halfway through a season might change. The value of the Australian dollar just becomes more tricky.
Yeah. Gold.
Rubies.
Here you go. Here's 10 bars of gold for the season.
Here goes some New Zealand lamb for the season. That's a good currency right there, isn't it?
No, you can't kill the lambs that they're giving you.
No, sorry.
Only allowed to give the will.
Last one, mate, here is improve parity, which you've already spoken about. You share the players around.
Yeah.
Con, what happens if the leagues is not making any money? I misspelled that. Little typo there.
Unlike you.
Very much, mate. So what happens if the league's not, and it's not making any money? It's not making. I think the only way this system will work is if it becomes a loss leader. And what I mean by that is you look at the French leagues and you say they've got about 10 million euros to spend.
Is that their salary cap?
Yeah, that's their salary cap. Match it. And then you get all the good players coming back. Then you get all the crowds coming back. It's got to be a loss leader.
Would all the crowds come back?
No. I'm not sure. Do you know what?
Honestly, I think if an All Blacks game was at Eden Park this weekend, I don't think it would be full.
It would be full.
Do you think
100%,
so?
Yeah, 100%. All Black games, mate, are always full.
They're not always full, though.
They are always full. Name an All Black game that wasn't full.
The one I saw on TV.
That was just that some rich people bought tickets but didn't sit down. They're always full. When we actually had a tour.
So why so few? Why so few of the top rugby league in New Zealand?
Do you know it was really interesting? Was
why so few?
The game in Christchurch over the weekend was full. No, it was full.
100% not.
It was full, apart from about maybe 1,000 seats or something like that. It was, but it was. What I mean by that was
it looked full.
Visually. Yeah, it was fuller, and I can tell you now, it was fuller than the final over the last 2 years, and that's amazing, isn't it? It was fuller than the final. So
it's because they're giving away the tickets.
They must be making those tickets much cheaper. When I went there, it was very cheap behind the goalposts.
Right.
But it was horrendously expensive on the main stands.
Was it?
Horrific, like $250.
What?
Yeah, $250 it was for the final or whatever. You know?
For the final, right.
So it was just horrific. I mean, if you really want to improve, I just say make most tickets cheap.
Yeah.
I went to Bath's match on the weekend. It was pretty much full because it was a $5.
Yeah.
£5 for seats. And we went behind the posts. We were like on the main stands, a $5 in the corners, £10 in the middle, and on the stand that's covered, because we weren't covered, mate, we don't have that much money, I think it was like £20 for in the main stand.
Though, that's cheap.
And it was full. 14,000 people were there.
So why are the Blues playing in a 65,000 seat stadium?
The honest truth is it's there. They've built it. Therefore, they've got to use it. They can't afford to move it somewhere else.
Well, they're not going to move Eden Park. Eden Park's the home of New Zealand rugby.
But that's what I mean. You can't not use it.
But go somewhere else. You know, don't play every week, every home game at Eden Park. Go to a local club that houses 10,000 people or 6,000 people. You'd fill it.
For me, people argue and they say if the games are on TV, people don't go and watch them live. I think that's absolute rubbish. I reckon if you made ticket prices accessible all season long, people then become true supporters of the club and they go and watch. Leeds United over here is in some dog league, but they're full stadiums every week because...
Leeds United, as in football team?
Yeah.
They're in the championship, the one below
it's still a
the
dog
Premier League.
And they're going down, mate. And they're going down.
They're going up.
They're going down.
Leeds are going to go up.
Are they?
Yeah, they're second in the league at the moment.
Anyway, I do. But, you know, they've got full stadiums and they're not even the top league.
No.
So you can do it if you've got true supporters. People can't be a true supporter because it costs too much to be a true supporter. They can't afford it.
No.
So make it affordable and people will come because they want to see their heroes playing live. There's nothing like live rugby. And when they're away, you watch it on TV. And when they're at home, you go and watch it live.
You go and watch. But that's the thing. Like you say, they need to be cheap enough that a family can go and watch as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe not $5, but $20, $10 for a child, something like that.
Yeah. Every week.
And,
every week.
You know, a Saturday night will be $50
and not
something.
Behind the posts. Because the behind the post is really not a great watch.
No, it's rubbish.
Not a great place to watch. That should be free. Just come and sit there, man.
Open the gate. Let the sheep come in. No, but, you know, obviously halfway should be more expensive than in the corners or behind the posts. Yeah. But make it feasible.
Mate, we were right in the corner at Bath.
Yeah.
And because it's only 14-seater, it's 14-seater. It's 14,500 seats.
Right.
You had a great view everywhere.
Okay.
You had a great view every single place because you're right on the pitch. And they're not dual-purpose pitches. This was a rugby pitch. So it's like when you go down to Dunedin and you go to Forsyth's Bar. That's a rugby pitch. It's not cricket and rugby.
No, you can have music in there.
Yeah. What I mean is, it's right. You're right there.
There's no cricket.
You go to Eden Park, and you are in some places miles away from the rugby, even in the main stand, because you know the way it bends round.
Yeah,
you're miles away. It's a rubbish place.
Same with Westpac Stadium.
The cake.
It's a bowl, mate.
Yeah, I know.
You're in the far corner. You're like, what was that?
I've never seen a game there, mate.
I watched the All Blacks there once.
Ooh.
Yeah. Versus South Africa.
Did we win?
Great game. Yeah, we did.
Good. Excellent. So that is pros and cons. I would like to see a salary cap brought in across all three countries, but I'd like to see it with big money.
Yeah.
And the only way that's going to happen is if we join all of the money together. So all of the South African, New Zealand, and Australian money all together, and we spread it out. Now, the South Africans aren't going to be very happy because they bring in the money. Yeah. So therefore, you know, New Zealand and Australia, especially Australia, have very small budgets compared to what South Africa will have.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's what evens itself out. The rugby union that makes the most money gets more for that year.
Yeah, that would be awful.
It would be awful, but it would.
You just end up having one team dominating.
Argentina would get $1 per player. Have you seen their stadium? Their stadium's huge, and then they've got like a small band of fans on halfway.
I'm really surprised. I kind of thought when it went there that there'd be just truckloads of people watching every week.
I wonder how much it costs to go and watch a game there.
I'm guessing more than a couple of pesos, mate.
Yes, but then contrast. The Sunwolves are absolutely raking in the fans.
And they're going to get cut.
Rugby World Cup last year.
Sansa, that was bright, wasn't it?
Stupid.
Even their domestic league is full.
Yes.
Of people watching rugby now.
They're a rugby mad nation now.
I'm with you, mate. And that's something that we need to talk about, because next week we are going to talk about, is Super Rugby dead?
I'm not here next week.
For Super Rugby.
I'm not here next week.
You're not here next week either?
Nah, just joking. Hey, the fans, the heart just went boom.
They were not Damo.
Dropped out their backside.
Not Damo again on his own. But yeah, very interesting. So I would go for it. What about you? Would you go for a salary cap system, or would you just keep it as it is?
Well, I think we're on the same page there, weren't we?
We were.
Or were you not listening to what I had to say?
I never listen to what you have to say. Up next, we're gonna watch. We're gonna review all the games from the weekend.